All right. If you're tuning in, Austin Krogan here, your dad bod transformation specialist. Going to be doing quality over quantity, the delusion of more due to your ego, edging your gains out. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing IFBB Professional, classic physique competitor, fitness professional, International Fitness Magazine Cover Model, actor, and owner of and founder of Rock Solid Nutrition, where your journey starts here when building a rock solid body. With over 20 years of experience in the trenches in the fitness and health industry, I give you my friend, my mentor, and one heck of a stud, yours truly, Sean Harley. Welcome, my man, and glad to have this time with you today.
Hey, well, thank you for that flattering introduction. And yeah, good to see your face, brother. I missed you.
Yeah,
Long
miss you
time no
too.
talk. So glad I could be here with you today.
Yeah, how's California?
Oh, it's doing good. Starting to open up a little bit more here. Starting to be springtime. The weather's getting nice out here by the beach. So not complaining. How's things back there?
Great. Omaha, Nebraska, lots of corn.
Yeah, up the corn. Spring is in the air, though, huh? Nice
Oh,
to
for
come that
sure.
way.
Plus the allergies, you know?
Mm. Now's the time to start working on the summer bods, though, right?
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work on right now. I gotta look like you.
Yeah, you're on your way.
Let's see the flex. Let's see the flex. I don't got them. They're not as big
Oh,
as yours.
starting to get back.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
these lockdowns were 10 months out of the gym, the longest time in my adult life that I had been out of the gym that long. And
Oh no,
so,
same too.
yeah,
I'm still getting the repercussions of the dad bod pandemic. So
yeah. So it feels so good to be back in action now.
for
Down
sure.
here training at Gold's Venice. It's always motivating.
Down in Gold, you got Golds down there.
Yeah. They just opened up indoor training like a couple weeks ago. So
Oh,
they
that's nice.
had been outside for a while. So now we're back inside and outside. So best of both
Yeah.
worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least you get the beautiful beach. I see you riding your bike down there too. So
Oh yeah. That was a lifesaver during the lockdowns, not having the gym, having access to do my cardio and stuff out there. And it was kind of a blessing in a way, just getting back into getting athletic again and
Mhm.
jogging and running and moving, doing more cardio for me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
looking lean too. I
Okay.
see you got the new apparel on too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
look at
actually
that.
our Mandabro figure. This is like a mathematical equation that creates a fractal pattern. And this one is called a Buddha Bro because it looks like a
Oh,
Buddha.
I
And this
love
is what
that.
we're using our pre-pump label too, setting a nebula scene. So we
Yeah,
made
great
some cool
stuff.
clothing design with our labels from our new pre-pump EAA pump labels. So they turned out really cool.
I love that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good. Yeah, let's jump right into it. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about building muscle. Building muscle. What type of mechanisms you want to start applying today to build quality, dense muscle tissue. How to fuel your muscles. What type of tips and tricks to remember when it comes to muscle maintenance. How to recover effectively, and how to build a celebrity body like Sean. So make sure you're taking notes as he kind of gives a lot of his experience on this and philosophies, and also take notes about some of the supplements that can assist you along in your transformation journey. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Sean, when building muscle, what are the things our audience needs to know about muscle?
Well, I think the first place to start with that, for one that is about to enter the pursuit of building muscle, is to just have a basic understanding of the process. And that is break down your muscle, feed it, rest it, and then it repairs and grows. And so that's, really the basis of what we're trying to do here when we're building muscle. Break it down, feed it, rest it, and then watch it adapt and repair and grow. And so the breakdown process, that comes from lifting weights, resistance training. And there's really, no way around that when it comes to building muscle. And, within that principle, one should maybe have a grasp of the idea of progressive overload. And so progressive overload says that we must continuously train our muscles a little bit harder for them to continue to adapt and grow. Once we start kind of just staying in the same spot with that, whether that's lifting, if you're just been, let's say, putting the same amount on the bar in the bench press for 2 years, and your chest hasn't probably changed in 2 years, right? We've all seen that guy in the gym that's been coming for a long time, and they're just do the same routine every single time, and their body never changes and adapts. And so progressive overload says that you must continue to kind of push that muscle harder to make it grow. And that doesn't always mean just adding more weight on the bar until you are just up to hundreds and hundreds of pounds and everything. You can also increase that overload through technique. So maybe you're doing negatives slower. Maybe you're getting a harder contraction on the contraction. Maybe you're doing more reps, So there's other ways to continue to kind of progressively overload that muscle and to force it to adapt and to grow. And then the next part of that equation, after you do that, so we're in the weight room, we're breaking the muscle down. Then it's going to repair and grow when you're not in the weight room, So it's kind of a misconception too. A lot of people starting thinks that you're building the muscle in the weight room. Now the muscle in the weight room, we're breaking it down. We're doing the opposite of building it. And we're building it when we're resting and repairing and feeding it the nutrients in the physical substrate that it needs to build that new substrate of muscle mass. And so, and we'll probably get into some of this a little later too, but giving it enough amino acids, the building blocks of protein. You probably learned that back in grade school science class, the building blocks of protein are amino acids. And so that means our muscles are protein. And so our muscles are built of these building blocks, these amino acids. And so we've got to eat those in order for it to have the building blocks it needs to grow. So with absence of amino acids, your muscles aren't growing either. So you can lift all day, but if you're not feeding it the protein and the aminos that it needs, it's not going to be able to grow. And then the rest aspect too. And again, we'll get that a little deeper later too, but just understanding that if you just keep, let's say you're working on biceps, I just like to use that as a quick example, but you don't want to do biceps like every single day. You're just going to break them down, break them down, break them down, and they don't have a chance to recover and grow and catch their breath and improve. And so having that rest aspect in there is crucial to that kind of overall formula. So, and then beyond that, you need to understand that you need to be in a caloric surplus to really put on muscle mass as well. So, and caloric surplus means eating more calories than we're burning, right? So we can either be in a surplus to help build, or if we're trying to get lean, we need to be in a caloric deficit. So our body's burning more energy, getting lighter. Surplus, we're getting heavier and we're building. So kind of having a grasp of that understanding as well is going to help somebody in that pursuit.
Awesome. So during workouts, what's the best way, as you said, like there's a lot of different sets or reps or frequencies or intensities. With your experience, what's the best way to stimulate as we get in as we talk about more about fueling the muscle? What's the best way to, in your experience, has been to actually stimulating and putting that overload, that progressive, obviously there's a progressive overload there, but stimulating it to its fullest capacity?
Yeah, well, what I've found in my 28 years in the weight room, kind of trying different things and slowly evolving and learning throughout that whole time is the style of weightlifting can be crucial to the effects when it comes to building muscle mass. And so within that, I have a style that I like to do where it is isolating the different muscle parts, which is, that's a standard kind of bodybuilding approach, is isolating the different muscle parts and trying to work, a chest day, a back day, a shoulder day, etc., and hitting each one, tearing it down for an hour, and then repeating it the next week. And within that, some ways that kind of really help spark some new muscle growth that I found in myself and in my clients are just different techniques that you can incorporate into your lifting. And so one of those is isolation, of course. So, and isolation is, putting your body in a position where you can isolate that muscle. So for instance, my chest, if I lower my shoulders more, I'm going to use more chest when I'm doing a press or a fly, versus if I raise them up and I'm pushing from here, which is a natural tendency for most of us when we kind of first learned to bench press and we're putting on too much weight, we like to
For sure.
get up here and push really hard.
Yeah.
And because we're usually stronger, if you have an undeveloped chest, you're stronger in the shoulders. And, you know, so I'll get guys that come to me and can't figure out how to grow their chest. And, you know, they may be able to bench 250 or 300 pounds. And they've got these big front delts and these big triceps, but they've got no chest. And that's because they're always benching up here. So isolation tells us we can put it down here where it's on a bicep curl. It's just isolating, so that bicep does all the work. And so we're not using other muscles to help move that weight. So isolation is kind of the first key there. And then range of motion, I think, is a big key there as well. And range of motion, I find, really helps when it comes to like building a shapely physique and muscles that have more tone and development to them. And that just means you're training that muscle through the full range of motion. So that means, you know, not stopping short with your bench press way above your chest, right? Coming all the way down, letting that muscle stretch all the way, and then shorten as far as possible. So coming all the way up to that contraction. You'll see a lot of guys when they do calf raises, they just kind of bounce in this little middle range of motion and they go really quick and it's right there in the middle. Versus, you know, my calves really started growing when I learned to really stretch them out at the bottom and to come up and give them a squeeze at the top as high as I can get my heels. And to stretch them out, squeeze, and working them that way. And that's when your muscles will really start to separate and they will really start to just build the fullness all the way around. So full range of motion is crucial. And there's some other stuff we could get into about that too, but I'll save that for later. And then tempo, I think, is a really important one, and one that really, when I started paying attention to tempo, that is really when my physique kind of just went up to the next level. And which was until after I'd been lifting for probably 10 or 15 years, by the way. I lifted for a long time and did very well without focusing on tempo so much. But once I started to incorporate it, it was like a whole new ballgame. And when I start working with like new people, when they learn this stuff too, their body just changes really, really fast. And so the best stuff I've found for that is when we're doing isolation type exercises. And these are, and I'm referring here when I'm talking about tempo to these lifts that are, you know, stricter and you're focusing on a certain muscle. This is what you would do for like kettlebell swings or, you know, that kind of workout. So just to be clear on that. But when it comes to tempo, what I found the best and what the science has shown the best is for the contraction. So we have, you know, different parts of tempo. We have the positive or the eccentric or the contraction. Then we have the contraction, the squeeze at the top. And then we have the eccentric, the negative, concentric, eccentric, the negative portion of the lift. So for the positive portion of the lift, the best strategy is to accelerate through the positive. And so accelerate means to pick up speed as you move the weight. It doesn't necessarily mean explode. Explode can be good, but when you accelerate versus explode, that allows two things that we just talked about. One is when you're using that big range of motion, you got to be a little bit careful coming out of that full position because that's when you're vulnerable. You know, I ripped my bicep out of my forearm here and I've got surgery here where the bicep popped off the bone once doing the bicep.
Oh, yeah, that's my biggest fear.
I'm like fully extended and I jerked it, right? And I just went and snapped. The whole bicep ends up like hanging down here like a sack.
Wow. Ouch.
And so, yeah, it was brutal. It sounded like two celery sticks. Just
don't do that. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah. And so when you accelerate, that allows you to kind of come out of that vulnerable position. So again, let's look at a bicep curl. I'm fully extended. And again, if I jerk, I can injure myself. If I accelerate, it just means go slow for that beginning. And then when I get to this part where I feel safe and I start to feel strong, then you accelerate through. So you kind of go slow, accelerate. And it's kind of just one smooth curve up. And then also, effective for leg presses, especially. That's where a lot of the research has shown the biggest gains in accelerating, but also bench presses and things like that. So accelerate up. And where was I going? There's another aspect of accelerate, the range of motion. Oh, the isolation too. So accelerate versus explode. So let's look at a bench press. So we just talked about how we want to keep our shoulders down and we want to get that focus on using the chest to do all the work. When you accelerate versus explode, it allows you to kind of mentally be there, be in tune with that muscle, feel it ignite and do the work, and then follow through with it. When you explode, it's more just, let me get this weight up as any way I can, you know?
Yeah.
So like a power lift or something, they're
Like a
going to use
power
more
lifter.
shoulders and triceps and arch their back more and adjust their position just to get that weight moving, right? But
Yeah.
when we're trying to build, you know, you can use a lighter weight and use these stricter ways of lifting and get way faster results.
So just to clarify for the audience that's listening. So when we're stimulating the muscle and symmetrically shaping it and building it, some of your philosophies or your favorite ones are: one, isolation; two, range of motion; three would be tempo. So the time
Yep.
under tension aspect of like how long that overload's placed on it, and then
Yes.
acceleration, right? And I noticed
Yeah.
the key thing there, without getting too far into it, you said legs too. That's a big common thing now, is, they're showing, HGH, testosterone, is increased when you're doing legs. So that definitely helps with like shaping and sculpting your physique and spending time in the lower half of your bodies that have the biggest muscle groups. And
Yeah. And you're burning the most fat and calories in those days too. And
probably where you get those
yeah,
calves
it's
from.
beneficial in a few ways. To pick up too where I left on tempo, I guess I just talked about the concentric, and we didn't get to the other parts either, but just real quick to touch on those. So after the concentric comes the contraction, and so just following that up with a squeeze for a count. And so that's, your bicep, your tricep, you just want to give it a good flex for a count. It's really when those muscles, all those fibers are really firing off right there. And if you got a good mind muscle connection and you're focusing on that flex too, the research shows you can increase the amount of muscle fibers by about 25%. So using about a quarter more of your muscle fibers just by focusing your attention onto the muscle you're working as you squeeze that contraction. So just getting that for a beat. And then I think that one of the most crucial parts is the negative, and controlling the negative as opposed to just letting gravity do the negative for you. And that's the one that, again, I didn't start till maybe after lifting for about 15 years. I always kind of just ignored the negative section of the lift. And once I really started to learn to just control it, and by that, sometimes I'm doing sets where it's like 3 to 4 seconds controlled, where I'm counting it out really slow. Other times it's just more of a normal tempo, just controlled. So like a normal pace, maybe accelerate, control, accelerate, control. And other times you can do it 1, 2, 3, 4, and those kind of different schemes to play with as well. So, but getting that negative and working that muscle through both ways is, you get there twice as fast. You give your muscle twice the work. It is really pretty phenomenal how much faster results come.
Yeah, then you get a lot more blood pumped into the tissue too.
You do.
With
You feel a lot more
that type
pumps.
of training, with the muscle, mind to muscle, and negative and getting a full range of motion like you're talking about. You
Yeah.
definitely get more mind to connection, and it's crazy because you're like, when you get into that aspect of training, and it can be a little more advanced, but like when you start doing that, you definitely notice that you really don't actually need that much weight to stimulate the muscle. Like, you can make lightweight feel extremely heavy and very challenging if you can learn to get that connection to your body, and it's almost intimate in a way.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean by that, and I think that's really interesting philosophy that you have.
Yeah. And the more you just hone that mind muscle connection, and the more you're able to just isolate that target muscle, again, the more you can get with the lighter weight, like you said. And when you can stop trying to make it a powerlifting contest and shoot how many pounds you can get up in there, and start, I call it work the muscle, not the weight. And when you're working the muscle and you're just, let's say you want to get 10 reps, and I can do that with 300 pounds in the bar and get there really sloppy, or I can do that with 225 pounds and get there really super strict and make my chest do all the work and make my chest just fry into that 10 reps. And the 225 is going to give you better results when it comes to shaping the muscle by following that technique. Yeah.
I like that. So if we are moving on here, if we've now, let's say we've built this muscle, Sean, and we're starting to shape, and it's starting to shape and form. And what's the best way, now that we're gaining this muscle? What's the best way to preserve it, with meals and fueling it and things of that nature?
Yeah, well, the main thing is feeding it, and it's getting it the nutrients it needs to sustain itself. And if you're trying to grow them bigger, it's enough nutrients to make them grow bigger. Um, and so that means hitting your protein requirements is kind of the main goal with that.
Mm.
And most of the research shows that you have kind of you got a caloric place somewhere where you're out of balance. You eat more than that, you start gaining weight. You eat less than that, you start losing weight. Within that, what the research really shows is that you have a protein requirement about a gram or so per pound, anywhere from 0.8 to 0.3. It kind of depends how much you're lifting and how active you are. And so as long as you're meeting that requirement, whether the rest of the calories come from carbs or fats isn't as important. And so some people have preferences that like higher fat diets, and some people like higher carb diets. As long as your protein requirements are there and your overall caloric balance is in the right place, whether those other ones are coming from fats or carbs isn't as important. And that also just really tells you that again, getting the protein and getting the amino acid in is so crucial when it comes to preserving and building and maintaining that muscle. And so,
interesting.
yeah.
So if I like what you said there. So knowing our protein intake, or whether, the method is, some people, like you said, higher fats, carbs, vice versa, knowing that we're preserving a lot of the tissue through protein, what's the best way to recover that muscle in the regards of protein?
Yeah, to like get the protein you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's hard and it takes some effort, that's for sure. And that's where supplements and shakes help. If you're trying to get 180 grams of protein, a good sized chicken breast, like the size of my hand here, that's kind of thick, is going to be about 40 grams of protein. And so that's a pretty hefty serving, and that's more chicken than the average person might eat in a regular sitting. And then you've got to get that in like 6 times a day. And so that can be hard. Or, an egg, just 3 to 4 grams of protein per egg, right? And so you got to eat a lot of eggs to meet that protein. And so that's where like shakes make it so much easier, because I can just take like 2 scoops of whey and there's 44 grams of protein, and it tastes like a treat, it tastes like the highlight of the day, and it gets down that way. And so it'd be pretty hard to do without the shakes. It's certainly doable, but you've got to eat a lot more protein sources, so a lot more meat and eggs and those kind of things. And the amino acids, the essential amino acids, can help with that too. So, protein is made of essential and non-essential. So, about half the amino acids are essential, about half are non-essential. So it's 9 to 11. And when you put them together, you get a complete protein, aka muscle mass, right? The non-essential amino acids are named as such because your body can create those. Your body gets those from an inside source. The essential amino acids your body can't create, so we've got to consume those through our mouth. And so when you consume EAAs, you combine those with the non-essential amino acids that your body makes, and your body can recover and build complete proteins that way. And so that just makes it's almost like eating a chicken breast. It's like getting the amino acids you need from food, but it's just in a light, easy to drink kind of way. And it makes it a lot easier to meet those requirements for your muscles than eating another steak or chicken breast or piece of fish that day. So, yeah.
Okay. So I love that. So we're going from, what's muscle, to now how we're going to stimulate and build the muscle, how we're going to fuel it, especially talking about in regards of protein, the amino acids that it takes to the building blocks of protein that it takes to recover it. Now we're in the recovery process and talking about how we fuel that. So with just convenience in general, and does the protein taking a shake, is the protein, does it absorb faster? Does it digest a lot faster? Is it better for on the go? What are some things that our audience should look out for when we're like trying to consume a quality, really good quality protein, and one to feed the muscles to help them recover, so we can build some more of that lean tissue? Like what's better scoops per, bigger scoops per serving, ingredients we need to look for, smaller ones that are going to give us our bang for our buck.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think one thing to look or to kind of keep in mind is the bioavailability of the protein. And so basically that category we look at like animal protein versus plant protein.
Mm.
And plant protein, it's a little harder to meet your protein requirements through all plant sources because a lot of plants will be missing maybe one or two or more of the essential amino acids. And so when you're trying to get your protein from plant sources, you have to strategically combine different vegetables with different vegetables. So ones that contain the amino acids that the other ones are missing, and hopefully that one contains ones that one's missing. And then you get a complete protein. But then we also look at bioavailability and animal protein versus plant protein. Animal protein has about a 70 to 80% bioavailability. And so that means if I eat 100 grams of this protein, my body's going to utilize about 80%, about 80
Oh,
grams
wow.
of that. Where plant protein is somewhere in the like 40 to 60 range. And so you're only using like 40 grams of that protein or 50 or 60 grams of that protein. And so it's more utilized that way. The other thing is like I said, the amino acid content, the whey protein, which is what our shakes are made of, has the best amino acid content to build lean muscle. It's the most similar in structure to your human amino acid content of your muscle. And so it has the ones that you need. And so, for instance, higher in the BCAAs. So the BCAAs are the branched chain amino acids. There's 3 of those. Those make up a third of your skeletal muscle. Those come in higher concentrates in whey protein. BCAAs are EAAs. There are 3 of the 9 EAAs. And so your whey protein is going to have a higher EAA and BCAA content compared to some other sources like a soy protein or a pea protein or something like that. So that's to keep in mind. And when it comes to shakes versus whole food, whey protein, it comes from the dairy making process. It is a whole food, in my opinion. It's, like an actual meal. Like when you're buying a tub of protein, you're buying groceries for a couple, 30 meals worth.
Yeah.
And so it's real food. And where are they going with that? We talked about meeting the protein requirements. It's just the convenience of it is what really makes it special too. It's just I can go gulp, gulp, just had 40 grams of protein versus trying to cook and eat and clean, more meat and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, especially with today's fast-paced lifestyle, it gets really hard to try to consume and cook and clean and do dishes and kind of meet all those requirements.
Yeah.
So I like where you're going with that. There was an interesting thing I wanted to bring up about what you're saying about the quality of the protein and how it digests and stuff. So Business Insider said there's like 6,000 companies pump out about 75,000 products. With so much to choose from, all this information overload, and a large menu of just stacks and things that are just like, is that just like a selling thing, or how do we know what's the best quality when we're like buying product to help us in our convenience in our life, and things that we want it to taste good and we want it to digest good, and what's the best quality when we're coming to that?
Yeah, well, when it comes to quality and supplement brands, like you said, there's, would you say 6,000 companies out there? So there's a lot. And so many of these companies are just a marketing company that is trying to sell a product, just picked up supplements, as opposed to somebody that was passionate about supplements and health and fitness that is trying to do it. And so, it's, the best ways to arm yourself is to just have a basic understanding of ingredients. Is kind of the hard, but it's not an easy way to do it. But doing kind of some basic homework. There's so much information on the web these days. There's a lot of misinformation out there too. But sites like examine.com, I go there a lot to research supplements because they have a really good scientific take on everything, and they link all the research that is known for that thing, and talk about each different topic within that product. And so that's a good one to kind of learn a lot. And looking at labels and kind of understanding how to read a nutrition label. I would avoid ones that have just huge proprietary blends in them, because these companies will put like 20 to 30 ingredients, and it'll say 2 grams of 20 to 30 things, and you don't know how much of each one is in there. And it's just a way for companies to say, well, here's 1.5 grams of my cheapest ingredient, and here's 15 other things at just a little tiny pinch, and you have no idea as a consumer.
Yeah.
And so, like we like to be honest on our labels, where we say exactly of how much of each ingredient you're getting. And we like to put those in at big quantities too. And so, quantity, it's not just about being big quantities, it's about being quantities that are effective and that do the job. And so that's kind of another thing to kind of look at when you're looking and comparing products on a grocery store shelf or something. You can see the ones that have just a tiny little formula that have of like 5 grams, like let's take our PrePump. And when that's sitting on the shelf beside a bottle like Citrulline's, or not, what the hell is the company, Cellucor C4, they've got like a 5 gram serving. We've got a 14 gram serving. So it's almost times the amount of substance in there. And then if you look at those labels on the backside, you'll see that we have 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. They have 1 gram of creatine monohydrate.
Wow.
So we have 5 times as much. And 5 grams is the recommended dose for that to actually be effective. 1 gram doesn't do anything for you. It's a waste of your time and money. But to really feel the effects of that ingredient, and it's a really good ingredient, you need the full 5 grams. And so yeah, just getting yourself a basic knowledge of using the power of that phone in your pocket to Google different ingredients and learn about which ones have the proof and which ones don't. Another good example for that is Tribulus. So if you look at the natural test boosters out there, so many of them are just Tribulus itself, or Tribulus as kind of the main ingredient combined with a handful of other ingredients. And Tribulus has never been shown to raise testosterone. It's been shown to raise libido. And
interesting.
You may get that effect from it, but that's not going to build muscle. That's not going to build your testosterone. They're 2 different things. And so the ingredients that we use in our test booster strength test are things like zinc and vitamin D, and a couple herbs like fenugreek, and a precursor called DHEA. And all of these things have scientific proof, a wealth of knowledge showing that they increase testosterone in humans and showing that they are effective. And so we just use those ingredients and we put them in at bigger doses to where they are actually effective. And, so once you can kind of understand that principle, that you need, big enough doses of these ingredients to actually do something too, that can kind of help you discern when you're comparing products in the store.
Yeah, I love that. To follow up with your some of those products you mentioned, what I love about specifically your protein is, especially when you're coming to, like you said earlier, everybody that's listening, when he talked about earlier about proprietary blends and watching for the labels and the ingredients and just doing your research, if you look at his product, it's really great because one, you're getting quality. It's going to digest really well. There's no hormones added. That's a big thing for me because I'm a whole food guy. Because your body's a chemistry set, and what you put into it's how it's going to react. It's like science, So paying attention to the hormones and the different artificial flavor, just all those things that are in there that you want to pay attention to. And then that's what's great about theirs. There's no hormones added. There's no antibiotics. I think it's gluten-free too, right? On the protein.
Yeah.
And it's 22
grass-fed cows.
Grass-fed cows, and it tastes delicious. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, I actually brought a. So this is their new flavor.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, the maple French. Yeah, it's great. I use it for breakfast. It's so good, and I have it's going to give you you're going to get good results. You're going to get the best bang for your buck. It's a whole 30 servings, I believe, worth $29.30. So it'll last you a good month for meal replacements and post-workout and recovery. And And then again, with the testosterone, you want to be able to put your body in an anabolic environment. And especially with it being natural and not having to do like what a lot of guys do, go through like liver filtering systems and post cycles. You want something that's natural. It's going to put your body in an anabolic environment, help stimulate that growth, raise your testosterone. And I mean, I know when I took it, I remember texting you, I was like, my sensitivity, my hearing, and like I was like, my nerve, like I was like, oh, like it's great.
Yeah, it's
And then,
everything. When your like hormones are healthy, and
yeah,
especially with testosterone, you just feel. I mean, it's not just about just being able to lift more weight in the weight room. In your regular day-to-day life, you just feel more pep in your step, more
pep
confidence,
in your step.
more
Yeah.
swagger. You know, you just feel
Yeah.
better in general. And guys that have low testosterone, and women that have low testosterone, they get depressed and they feel lack of motivation and they
Yeah.
feel low. And it's a world of difference on the quality of life that they can make for you and your experience of life if you're running on low T or you're running on healthy T. And
Amen.
to your point too about like side effects and stuff, you know, you can get T from either, you know, taking injections like testosterone injections, or you can get it from precursors like andro and those things that were hot on the market in the early 2000s. But those both come with a lot of side effects because then your body is using that first testosterone source and it's shutting down its natural testosterone source. And with that comes fluctuations in your estrogen, and your entire hormone environment becomes kind of thrown off a little bit. Whereas when you're doing just a natural test booster and helping your body produce more of its own natural test, it's not going to get you probably to those limits you can get with a needle, but it's going to get you much higher than where you're at. Our labs tests that we have done with people, I've done women and men, have all shown about a 50% increase in their natural test in the first 8 weeks. And then we had a couple at 6 months, and they're showing about 127%
Wow.
increase. And so that's pretty
Naturally.
significant. Yeah. So, you know, if you're a guy and you're at, 400, that'll take you to like 600. If you're 200, it'll take you up to 300. And it's not getting you to like 1200 where you would get on like a needle if you were taking a heavy dose. But it's getting you to where your body is functioning like it did when you were 20 again, hormone wise, and you start to feel like you did back then too. Yeah.
Yeah. This is key stuff. Like if you guys are tuning in and listening, because again, the whole topic was quality over quantity, you know, the delusion due to your ego edging the gains out. So understanding proper like quality of things, such as like good product that is going to just be the icing on the cake to really take your physique to those next levels and really help your performance overall and just your equilibrium and how your body just is going to respond and just be in this in these environments, especially when you're working so hard. And I love about the pre-pump, just going back on that, the citrulline, it's just, it gives you a good pump. And I love that it's natural caffeine as well. So I don't get the jitters. I get a really I don't like that foggy head feeling. I like a really clear focus workout.
Yeah.
That really does a good job. And I get a lot of good pump in there, and I get it, I get the extra sets, and I can feel it. And I'm not, overstimulated. And I love that. And sometimes I'll add in the, there's a name for it. I think it's like the double standard or the double pump.
The 2-pump champ.
Yeah, the 2-pump champ. Yeah, so where you take the EAAs and you mix them with your pre-pump, and yeah, it's good stuff. And it's definitely helped me in my journey, and even holding me accountable. Like if you guys are struggling to get in the gym, I like to take my pre-pump and my EAAs, and I chug it real quick. And then I know I can't go back on my excuses that I get there, because it starts, you start feeling it.
Once you took that pre-pump, you got to get to the gym for sure. But no, that combo you talk about, the pre-pump and the EAA pump together, that's how I do before my workouts as well. So I'm taking the pre-pump, basically before I leave the house to drive to the gym. So it's 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And then I used to mix the two together, and that's a great strategy. Lately, what I've been doing is hitting a pre-pump before, and then I'll put the EAAs in my water bottle and take it with me, and I'll drink that kind of the first, 20, 30 minutes of my lifting, as long as it takes me to get through that first water bottle before I need to refill it. And that's a great strategy too. It just kind of keeps that blood flowing and keeps that pump. The EAAs, and those two products got two different things, but they really complement each other. They really give you everything you need to really just optimize. So with the EAAs, you're getting the essential amino acids that we talked about, and you're putting those into your bloodstream as you're lifting. And that citrulline that's in there, blood flow, nutrient delivery, is going to take all those and pump them right to your muscles. And you're getting the electrolytes in there. So that's like the good stuff you get from a Gatorade or a sports drink without all the sugar. And it's important for muscle hydration, which is crucial for your performance. And so it increases your cell volume, increases your, your ability for your muscle to contract hard. And with that, you're going to find better endurance and power. And then with the pre-pump, again, we kind of focused on with that less ingredients, but more of the important ones. And so we've got the 5 grams of the creatine monohydrate, full dose, 5 grams of the citrulline, which you just mentioned. So when you're doing the two together, you get the pre-pump 5 grams, citrulline, 2 grams of the EAA. And so that's why that combo really gets the pumps going.
It really does, yeah. I definitely save those for my leg days. So
yeah, for sure. And then it has taurine in there, which is another blood flow ingredient. L-carnitine is in there at a full dose. That was another ingredient that, like, my professional bodybuilders coaches, my professional bodybuilding coaches would have me take as I'm doing a pro show, is a gram of citrulline every day. And so I put it into the pre-workout to do that. And that's helping you use body fat as a energy source, and it helps increase power as well. And then you mentioned all the stimulants too, and I think that's another one that really kind of sets ours apart from others. We use caffeine at about 200 milligrams, so it's about
just right.
A strong cup of coffee or 2 cups, and but not too much to where it's overblown. It's not 300 milligrams like you get from a Monster or something like that.
Or it doesn't.
And then our other, because too much you're just jittery. And then our other main stim is synephrine. And so synephrine is a really good stimulant, but it's been shown not to raise your heart rate or your blood pressure. And so you don't get that feeling. So, I've taken pre-workouts before where it almost feels like too much, it drains your energy, and you almost feel like you need to sit down and like stop and like breathe and like so your heart rate calm down. and you get sweaty and it interrupts your workout versus making it better, and so there's a limit for that. And some guys in their early 20s, just love that feeling. And, those of us that are 28 plus, 30 plus, we, appreciate it feeling healthy and not feeling like we're going to have a heart attack. And
seriously.
Get there and work out. So
get ready to kiss the other side. Goodbye. You're like,
right. Some of those, man. When I first started in the supplement business, was working at a GNC store in San Diego. And, this was in the early 2000s when there was a product called Redline that came out.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to drink thing. And there's little bottles, and I can't even think what the stim was in that stuff. It's not even legal anymore, but super freaking strong. And I drank one of those when I first came in just to see what they were all about. And after I drank it, I looked at the label and it says servings per container 2 instead of 1, and there's only a bottle like this big. And 20 minutes later, I'm sweating bullets. Heart is just racing out of my chest. I've got saliva just pumping in my mouth.
Oh my gosh, that's
like when you feel like you're gonna puke, hilarious. Saliva pumping. I had that going on, and like my shirt is just getting soaked, and I'm just like, man, I hope no customers come in right now. I'm gonna have to shut the store down and go lay down. And luckily, a couple hours went by, and nobody came in to see me, and I was able to ride it out. But boy, it was a scary time.
Yeah, sometimes the after effect of those can carry on for a while. And you do, people need to understand, and this is why I think you do such a phenomenal high recommendation on your product, is just these things they can be very dangerous, and people need to be very aware of what they're putting in their body. And especially if you are not taking care of yourself to the best of your body's ability. But you definitely do a good job with that, because some of that stuff, I know what you're talking about. You're like, One time I swear I was just like, I remember just laying on the ground, like, I literally like lightheaded. Like I was just like, everything
Yeah,
was on point with the nutrition, hydration. I'm like, what is going on? You got to just be careful with that stuff because it can get
yeah,
really, yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. And then, where can our audience learn more about who you are, Sean? Do you have like a Instagram? Can they learn? Where can they learn more about your world, building a rock solid celebrity body like yourself? If they're looking for um,
Yeah,
training.
yeah. Check me out on the social medias. My Instagram handle and handle for other ones is Rock Solid Harley. So look me up there or find me on Facebook. I've got a fitness page and a regular page. They can hit me up there. Website for the supplements, rocksolidnutrition.com. And so you can find out more information about all the products there.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put some. I'll put some links in here. I'll put uh, your Instagram name in here as well, so that they can all follow you. Go follow you on Instagram. Check out some of your products. I believe you guys do free shipping too, if you order online.
Free shipping
Um,
over 60.
over 60. Yep, that's great. Yeah, good bang for your buck. That's for sure, especially when building your physique. Where else can they? Can anybody? Can they find your product anywhere else? Um,
Yeah, we're at Select Hy-Vee Nutritions, Select Rexius Nutritions, and then various gyms and chiropractors and mom and pop shops all over too, the Midwest mostly.
awesome. Well, great,
Yeah.
great. This was very productive, Sean. It was great having you on today and learning about what it takes to build muscle and shape our physique and get the proper nutrients and fuel our body needs to better perform and just overall shape our transformation. So yeah, super excited to have you on today and talk over this with our audience and help them uh, kick ass with their goals coming this summer.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.